Ah, nothing better than sitting on the balcony reading Realm History Volume 1 with my good old friend Ba. Oh, I didn't notice you come in, Savannah. Anyways, so this is our Minecraft realm. We have run it for about 5 years now, just over. Recently celebrated the 5-year anniversary. And for about 3 of those years, we've talked about wanting to make content for it. And it's kind of difficult to start things off 5 years into a realm. But it's better to start things off 5 years late than 6 years late. So we're doing this now. There's a lot of context that needs to be given. So I think before we start things off properly, we should probably cut to the university and give a real quick crash course on everything. So after that beautiful segue, what's most important right now is to explain a couple things because our realm operates different from any other realm I've ever seen. So first and foremost, there will be a few terms used that are going to be unfamiliar because, of course, this is the first video after all. First and foremost, I'll refer to a modern age and a historical/lore age. We've not really refined which one it is. But basically, when I refer to modern age, I kind of mean outside of lore. Our lore has 3,000 years into the past of previous countries, wars, characters, other miscellaneous things that my friends would kill me for forgetting right now. But what's important is referring to the modern age refers to when the realm was actually in real life created. I know I'm breaking immersion already, but anyways, point is, this town is actually the oldest, isn't it, student? This is the oldest. Thank you.
Um,
Anyways, modern age speaking, which as I just mentioned means in real life, Cedarvilla, the town we're in currently, is the oldest town/city/country, it's complicated, in the entire realm. But lore-wise, it's only 5 years old. We have some, including the Imperium, going back several thousand years. They're the oldest. Rome, that's ROAM, not ROME. It's complicated. That'll be a different video, which is just nearly as old, I'm pretty sure. But anyways, the gist of it, historical age means lore. It means before the realm was actually created, and referring to modern age means 5 years ago when the world was actually started. So, this is technically the oldest, technically not at the same time. I'm gonna segue. Yeah, this is gonna be a clean segue right back. Boom. Okay, so I have no idea how that's gonna look in post, but hopefully that explains that historical age, modern age, different things. This town is the oldest, isn't it the oldest? All that stuff. But anyways, we should probably start where we're standing right now. Currently, we are in. There's a villager up there. I've never seen him. We are sitting in one of the older buildings in Cedarvilla. It was created about 4 years ago, I believe now. Was it 4? I think.
yeah.
Dang, it's pretty old, isn't it? Anyways, this building is ye old library. It's been renovated a couple of times, but as you can see with the cobwebs and the hung people, this place is pretty disheveled, but we like it that way. Also, I'm putting this book back. I'm not checking this out right now. That was just for the bit. Anyways, as you can see, our realm has multiple history books, including the Northern Kingdom, Realm History 1. We have 2, 3. That's a recent thing. That's a newspaper. We have guides. We have people hiding. We have miscellaneous stuff. Overall, quite a few books in here. Not as many as I would prefer. We have even some old artifacts, including the first ever flag of the modern age, and what Cedarvilla looked like 5 years ago. This was from 2021. So I think that pretty much wraps up the library. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah.
I should probably introduce you first. This is my girlfriend, Savannah. She's been on the realm for about 4 years now. Just a little bit before. Wow, that was so off-centered. But she's been on the realm for about 4 years now. She's one of the older players. We've had about 20 people off and on, and we have currently around, I'd say 7 mainstay players, but it comes and goes as is, but she's one of the older players on the realm. But wow, what a beautiful. No, I'm gonna pause real quick. Cedarvilla does not deserve to be shown in this lighting or this weather, so we're going to pause and pick up at the beginning of the tour with City Hall. So the most important place to start a tour of Cedarvilla would probably be the town hall. Originally, Cedarvilla used to just be kind of like a town, but then eventually grew into a city. Now it's kind of like a city-state. It's very weird. We've even created new governmental positions that don't really exist just to fill out the government and keep things running here. But it's a weird mess, but it's the most important mess on the realm. So to start things off, this building is not the oldest on the realm, nor is it the oldest in Cedarvilla, but it is definitively the most important building. So this is Cedarvilla Town Hall / City Hall, and it's more of a White House than anything at this point. We're going to open the doors up right here. Now, you will have to excuse us. The current administration has dealt with quite a few issues moving into their move-in date, and several things had to be reinforced. We used to have glass here, but due to bombings and civil unrest, that had to change. But to start things off, we have a little copper golem here named Bois. Bois here, he kind of is a center of a little bit of controversy. You see, this used to be a mailroom, and we had a person in here who would be in charge of all that, but she did such a bad job. Her job has been outsourced to AI, but this is the one time I'll agree with that, because so long as she's unemployed, I'm happy. But pretty easy system. If you have any complaints or donations or anything, you toss it in here, he'll pick it up, toss it in that chest over here, and then these lights turn on. But as you can see, the current administration does not check their mailbox, so these lights are kind of just a permanent light fixture right now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, moving next, over here, moving on, we have the head of transportation and foreign affairs, which is a more so recent amendment of a previous administration. As you can see, Kyle, which is me. I'm going to be completely honest. The foreign affairs thing was something that was tacked on by the previous mayor. I wasn't really given any duties to do with that. In fact, due to the council of the realm, I think the mayor himself is kind of more so in charge of all the foreign affairs stuff. I don't know why that was given to me, but transportation is what I'm good at. See, Cedarvilla is kind of the heart of the railway, I would say. I'd consider it the heart, at least. It's where the railway began about 3 or 4 years ago. And since then, it's stretched all across the Cedrus continent, over near my country, down to her country. It's kind of taken over and completely replaced the Nether Highway system, which I'm very happy about because no one likes the Nether. It's not really used much anymore as far of being a workshop, but I mean, it looks pretty. It has some resources, including some that should not be here. I'll pick those up. And although it used to be important for the development of the realm, this place has not been used much in a while. But uh, that's my office. I just realized, should we even be showing off every office? It's not like everything in here needs to be shown off.
No, I don't think we really have to. I feel
Well,
like just the main
that's one
area.
office. We'll give the gist of everything. It is a pretty long tour, and I don't want to edit all of this, so I do kind of want to make it quicker. This is actually our second, or maybe even third attempt at making a tour, but due to her not knowing how to set up audio correctly, me and my friend, we were not recorded for 3 hours straight. So this is kind of going to be a quicker, less scripted, and hopefully more efficient tour. But moving on, we have the head of sanitation and treasury. Treasury was an amendment. In fact, this used to be head of construction. As you can see, when you have multiple players, characters, and even dogs, all fulfilling the same job of being the mayor, several things get messy. Up here is a little courtroom. Originally, this was meant to be in a different building, but during the first ever election, there was an assassination plot. So we ended up having to immediately throw this together, have an emergency trial, and we didn't even have a roof above our heads. That was about 4 years ago, even before Savannah's time. But moving on from here, the mayor's office. Right here is a contract system. Usually, what used to happen is during Freya's administration, she was a previous mayor, she would have it that the different heads of the different governmental departments would be given contracts, and when the contracts were finished, they could be submitted up here, be put under review, and then they would be subject to be paid in their office if they did a fine enough job. But that wasn't really used much. Still has the contract bin though, and I never got paid when I connected the track to the Oasis. So if you're wondering why we have a Department of Transportation that never gets used, it's because I'm usually paying for it out of my own pocket. There's no pay in Cedarvilla. But this is the mayor's office. She's not the mayor. She's never been the mayor, actually. The current mayor is Boris. He's not really decorated. The previous mayor ripped all the decorations out of the office, and Boris never really got to it and decorated his. But there is an office here for the bare minimum purpose of someone sitting. But we're going to move on. Here's a little lounge area, and we're going to give a quick sneak peek at the rest of the city. Past that giant white building right there is the university. It's one of the uglier buildings. I built it when I was much worse at the game. And that's where we recorded that one segment explaining the modern age compared to the historical age. And that copper roof building right there is a library we were at earlier. So it's a fairly large city considering most Minecraft realms usually last like, 2-3 weeks. But moving on to our right here, we have the council building alongside 2 statues. I'll explain the statues later. They're a more recent addition, but I'm kind of just wanted to give a nice look at the city before the tour continues. But actually, I think the next building I want to show off is the one directly in front of us. Let's pick up there. Well, it's really good that we've explained what the modern and historical age split is, because now I can explain this way easier than the previous attempt at a tour. This is the first building of the modern age, meaning 5 years ago when the realm was created, this was the first building ever constructed. Though spawn is several hundred blocks away across an ocean, I actually just burrowed into the side of a mountain for the first night and traveled here with my dog, and I found a skeleton spawner right past this sealed off little stairway, and I decided, due to a previous experience I had with Minecraft, there was nothing more I wanted next to my house than a skeleton spawner, because bones and bone meal are the lifeblood of a agrarian society, right? So decided to settle right here, construct this wooden building, and if we step on right here, we can see the sign I planted years ago, untouched, stating that this is Kyle's house, July 2021. We tend to date things on the realm because the intent is we want the realm to go on as long as humanly possible and even maybe outlive us in the future. So we do try to keep some dated signs around here for the sake of archiving. But it has been turned into a museum as of, I think, about 9 months ago. If you enter in here, you can see it's a complete mess. There's chests everywhere, mob heads thrown about. You might be wondering, why would there be a torch next to a red bed? Why am I using a red bed? These are all valid questions except for that one. Everyone should use red beds. But despite how terrible this looks, this was actually my first ever single-player survival house. I never played single-player survival until this world. I played on one previous survival world with some friends about a year before I made this realm. But initially, for about a couple years at the start of this realm, it was just a single-player world, turned into a multiplayer world, and then eventually turned to a Minecraft realm. But I actually went back through old pictures, old world backups, and I restored this house to the best of my ability to look how it did 5 years ago. Granted, chests are empty, these dispensers are empty. Some of the finer details have been lost to time, but torch placement, mob heads, bed placement, even the anvil's damage level, all of this has been restored to basically as identical as I could get it. And I'm not going to make people read this. This is mostly for people. If you want to slow it down and look at all this, you can, but I'm not going to make people read this. This place can actually work as a free open hotel for anyone that has no real place to stay in Cedarvilla. So we are. Oh, well, I guess I don't have to do that. I was going to use that and sleep the night, but she went ahead and did that for me. Back here, you can see this is where I used to keep my cows, but now it's a little flower garden. There's little stone bricks keeping any villagers out of here. And we're going to go on up. This is one of the few additions that was made, and it's specified in the book. This didn't used to be here. Here's another 2021 era map. This is what the town used to look like. I would say almost all of this map has been absorbed into the city now. It is a very large city. But going up here, there's a free to use original enchanting table from 5 years ago. You get another view of the city, but as buildings get larger, you kind of need taller towers to look out at everything. So this is one of the buildings I did want to give a thorough tour of, because due to me being the oldest player, this means the most to me. No one else really seems to appreciate the value of this, but the value's not lost on me. It is historic. Even though there's lore-wise some older buildings, this was the first building of the modern age, making it the oldest actual building of the realm. We're going to skip the council over there. Wow, this is a very... Who put this in? It's just all lowercase council. That screams Ryan. But
Yeah, I'm thinking Ryan.
we're going to skip this and come back to it later and run a little bit further into town. Not everything will get explained. Not everything needs to be explained. Like, there's a newspaper here, Cedarville and Scroll. Here's a deep slate building. That is what the building's called. No real purpose. It's a multi-purpose building. It used to have netherwart, access to the highway, but honestly, the highway's not used anymore. The primary use now is for the poor folk that come into Cedarvilla. They use all these furnaces, and they should be, yep, they are filled up with coal. So you got that if you need it. Here's what we're going to use right here to get rid of this trash we picked up. We also have a fully automated sewage system. You throw all that in there. You could go down into the sewers with the manhole cover, but we're not going to do that right now because we are looking snazzy for the tour and we don't want to get dirty. There's some villager housing. Here's the Grand Cedarvilla Tower. We're going to come back to this later. I think this would be a good spot to end the tour. But we're going to move on. Here's Fern Shack, the Cedarville Bakery. It was remodeled in 2024, but it was built 2021. There's a lot of nice things in Cedarvilla, and I don't know, if there's demand, I can give a more thorough tour. Even I could even record smaller shorts delving into each building way more thoroughly and then just link it back to this video. I think that'd be a good idea, because to give an idea of how complex this city is, not even talking about the underground would take at least 3 hours if we went moderately into every building, so we're having to skip a lot of ground here. There is a little guard tower. Might not look like a great tower, but that's where the guard part comes in. There's a ballista on top that we fire at any intruders, whether that be hostile nations or pillagers. We have a 10,000 day memorial. As you can see in the top left, we are nearly on 20,000 days, so do the math on that one. It has been a very long time since that was built. Here is something I actually want to touch on, the old community board. Now, I started the realm in 2021, and later that year, my cousin Drew, the second oldest player, she logged on for the first time, and for the longest time it was me, her, and then later my brother joined. So to keep track of progress, we made this community board. And the way we did this is, I think this was before glow squids were added, I'm not really sure, but we would dye the signs. It might have been before signs were even dyed. But anyways, later on, we started to use glow squids and sign dyeing. And what we would do, we would keep red signs or unfinished projects, and then we would have a very satisfying moment of dyeing the sign green when it was ready. So obviously, you can see there's two things that weren't done. These have actually been accomplished as of recently due to the recent administration. The Boris one I was just talking about. This is not Boris. I don't know why he's here. Yep. The locals are kind of stupid. That's the previous administration's problem. But, anyways, some people, Ryan mainly, suggested we dye these signs green now that they're finished. We're not doing that. This is a more historic site than anything. That's why it's uh, sectioned off with brick and iron bars. It's meant to. You take care of that. You take that boat. You get him out of here. We're not allowing that on the tour. We don't take kindly to those. Anyways, moving on. Ignoring that sign. This is something that was constructed around the big old Sammy administration a couple years ago. I suggested we have more villagers in Cedarvilla, so these apartment buildings were constructed. They're not the greatest, I will say. They've kind of gotten run down and neglected by more recent administrations, though more buildings like this have been constructed in the most recent. This is an airport. We're going to skip over this. It's not really used much because players on the realm don't really use Elytra, nor did we use Happy Ghast, so it's kind of a pointless building. Maybe it could be rented out into something else. Maybe we could put a Spirit Halloween here. I think that'd be a good idea. There used to be a club here, but instead of tearing things down, the realm, at least more historic sections of the realm, have a tendency to pave over stuff and not actually destroy it. So that's where you get interesting buildings like this. There's a club under an airport on top of low-income housing. So just a little fun fact for you. This is the university that previous segment was filmed in. We are going to run it here real quick. We're gonna, well, no harm in showing that. We're gonna run up here, get more views of the town. In here you can see that board the segment was filmed right next to. We're not going to really get into the history of the realm in this video. This is mostly an introductory tour, right?
Yeah.
You've not talked a lot. I know I'm not giving a lot of chance. When you want to talk, speak up a little bit. I'm kind of just trying to rush through this as fast as possible.
It's all good.
We're not going to get to the tour, like in this tour of what Evergreen is, what Shiver Peak occupied Evergreen. We're not going to get into all the historic stuff. That's a story for another time. Maybe a museum tour would be fitting for that. What I do want to show off is something that I think the realm might be the only owner of. We own a fused mob. We don't know how this happened, but at the train station one day, one minecart was somehow able to fit a dog and a frog, creating the Cedar Villain Drog. And it is kind of the only reason we have a biology room in the university. There's not much to say on this. It's not really been studied despite being in the university, but we do have one. This guy's a little rude. Moving on from that, we're gonna head on this way. There's some more villager housing. There's another of them if you want to take care of him. Yeah, just get him on out of here. Maybe put him on
Yeah.
the railroad if you know what I mean. We already showed off the library. We're gonna skip past that. There's a little statue.
I
Don't really know what this is.
just don't mind me. I'm trying to find a boat.
Yeah, we're not over there. This is one of my favorite buildings in Cedarvilla. This is the Cedar Villain Station, and don't mind me, I'm going to get my spyglass out and I'm going to look up here. It takes a little bit, but there is actually a working clock tower on top of if it will go. Just give it 1 minute. Probably going to speed this up in post. If not, sucks to suck. You can skip ahead if you want, but I do want to show this off. There we go. It's definitely slow, but I'd rather have a slow clock tower than a non-functional one. here we are, the Cedarvilla station. Down that way leads to Block Street, Sealand. To the right goes over to Golden Ridge. That way goes over to the Imperium, the city district of Cedarvilla, which will not be covered in this tour considering it's technically a different area entirely. The Oasis, Old Evergreen, Duchy of the Summerlands, Shiver Peak, Leaside. Basically, that way goes everywhere. But this was the first train station on the realm, and there's even a divert rail switch, as you can see. And we're going to leave that going to Corinne's farm because, to be quite honest with you, that is... If we don't leave that, she will complain, considering she does not really want to operate the rail. But there's a hotel up there. There's a entrance to the clock tower. We're going to skip past all that. There's some docks over here. One interesting thing we have on the realm is, as I mentioned, we don't really use elytras, and that's kind of like an understatement. We don't use a lot of things people typically do because we kind of found it made Minecraft less fun to use them. Elytra destroy any other mean of travel. There's no point to use it, right? So we don't really use elytras that much. It's a very niche thing to use. Nor do we use shulker boxes as much as we used to. Now, that being said, shulker boxes are used, but interdimensional travel is so scarce on the realm, and there's no real renewable way for us to get shulker boxes as is, that we've actually opted for a new system of creating boat convoys, tying a bunch of boats together, putting chests in the boats, and using the canals, rivers, all that stuff. Picking back up over here, right next to the train station, the docks. This is a very recent addition, a little factory area. This was constructed by the Boris administration, and one of his campaigns was, well, part of his campaign was to focus on Cedarvilla independence and stray away from foreign. Hey, there is Savannah. Could you take care of that? Yeah. Thank you. That's one thing Boris does need to work on, I believe. The zombie problem, but that's not exactly his fault. But anyways, moving on. One of his campaign promises was to bring the factories back to Cedarvilla. A long time ago, there used to be sugarcane factories in here. That was shut down due to public outcry, and recently he brought it back and used it as an excuse to create new housing, factory jobs, and for Cedarvilla to start producing some of their own resources. Over there is a old building that was never really finished. Inside is the mega tree. Don't exactly know why there's a mega tree, but there is, and there's nothing we can do about it. We're gonna continue on down here. That green building's not too important. It's the home of the Cedarvilla Scroll. I should also mention, every entrance and exit, except for one to Cedarvilla, can be shut with the literal... Oh, shoot. The lag is bad. That is one problem we've been encountering recently on the realm. They will neither let us download the world due to a internal Microsoft bug, nor will they actually fix the lag issues. So, bear with us on that. But we're going to flip that switch and show. Could you flip it again? Oh, it's lagging. There we go. It's primitive, but it works. Anyways, we do have dams set up at most waterways. Moving on, though, this used to be a farmer's market, but recently was converted to the Creeper Derby, or rather the Cedarvilla Derby. The reason the farmer's market was shut down is lack of interest, and also there wasn't really like any need for it after the shopping district was set up, so all the shops moved over there, and if you peer over the edge, you can see literally everything from the farmer's market was just pushed over. So, still down there if you want to go shopping. The Creeper Derby, the way it works, you grab invisibility potions, drink it so the potions will make it so creepers can't see you. Someone will operate this, activate the fences, open the entrances, and then start race. Not in that order, not all at the same time. I just want to show you the complexity of this. I'm not an expert redstoner, but I'm unfortunately the best we have on the realm, so they have to go through me if they want anything, or rather, if they have to go through one of my characters, which I think is now a good place to actually segue into that. We have a play style that is very interesting in the realm. Most players tend to play as A, themselves, but B, other characters that they've invented. These can be cartographers, like the ones that run the survey corps. There's wizards, there's knights, there's ambassadors, there's a lot of stuff in the realm. Uh, but obviously those characters are played by people, but we use the skin slots we have, since we're on Minecraft Bedrock, to operate different characters. So no better time to talk about that than right now, I suppose. Moving on, though, I don't really want to show this off too much considering it's a work in progress, but down there is a couple new factories Boris has created, and just like there are, like, I'd say Little Italy's, Chinatowns in real life, here we have Little Imperium. Imperium is a previously mentioned country on the realm, and there is a Little Imperium that was constructed in the Boris administration. Now, this has been under much scrutiny, and I actually have to agree with it. Considering Boris said he wants to stray away from foreign investment, creating a little imperium, a completely different nation, has got to be the funniest way you can prove, hey, we're going for Cedarville and independence. So, not really great, I don't think, but moving on, there's a little Shiver Peak up there, Shiver Peak being my nation, also known as the best nation. There's also an embassy. I'm not going to take you through all that. The Shiver Peak tour is a tour for another day. There we have a self-repairing cobblestone slash stone monolith. It's kind of like a, yeah, I'm gonna go and show that, show how it's worked. No commands. Shocking. This is a purely survival world. It should be obvious considering there's not giant command block structures or diamond houses anywhere, but does need to be stated. People tend to cheat in Minecraft. Here is the Imperium Embassy. I'm gonna actually give a little bit of lore on this because this is fascinating. So I'm not gonna go too much into the history. It's really hard. I'm very passionate about the realm's history, but basically, a couple years ago, a nation named Evergreen rose up, threatened to conquer the entire realm, and stories were told of the leader of it, known as the Northern King, and he threatened the entire realm, which actually, for the first time in the modern age, brought together the rulers of all the nations, some new, some old, into one place called the Paradigm. The stone was brought by the Imperium delegates, constructed by Cedarvilla workers, and then the wood furnishings were added onto with Sealand and Shiverpeak workers. Bergamot brought nothing to the table. They were here too. But moving on into the building, it is a very nice building. Most of this was a more recent addition, quickly before this alliance fell apart. The Federation Nations was brought together to oppose Evergreen, but after Evergreen fell apart, it kind of tried to become a UN of sorts, and just like the actual UN, it accomplished nothing. Shiverpeak left, uh, bonded with a new country that we're not going to get on topic of in this video, and slowly the entire Federation collapsed until the Imperium just took this place for itself and made it their embassy, considering they constructed the vast majority of the building. And now, what once was a meeting place for all the nations on the realm, or some of them at least, it's now just become a simple embassy. Right next to it is the Cedarville Stump. This is where we give stump speeches on election nights. Literal stump speeches. I'm pretty sure Ryan got that just from Gravity Falls. Over here's where you cast your votes. We're going to go on. This river, the Cedarville River, goes out to the Spawn Ocean. The Spawn Ocean collects in one massive pool, and then canals and riverways and other things take you to a plethora of islands, island nations, canals that lead to other oceans, oceans that lead to other oceans, and then oceans that lead to other nations. It is a very complex system, but we're going to move on past that. Over through this marshland that is completely unused. Up here is Lucas's house. He is a player that is never on, despite saying he wants to be. We all really like Lucas. We wish he'd play more because he has very interesting ideas I'd love to see come to fruition, but he's more of a Java player, and I think the fact that Bedrock does not have mods, or, free mods, because we all know how much the marketplace is wonderful. But due to that fact, he plays very rarely on the realm, and every time he hears about the realm, he's very interested in what's going on, but never actually commits to getting back on, which makes me very sad. But getting to this build, the Cedarvilla Princess, a riverboat casino. I want this more than anything, considering now it is very easy to make redstone slot machines, among other types of gambling paraphernalia. But I would love, more than anything, to go gambling in Cedarvilla, but unfortunately, it's just not the case yet. Historical fact about this building, despite the fact that it is currently the Four Winds Bar, one of multiple bars in Cedarvilla, it was constructed by Lucas. He actually canonically died in the void before being resurrected later during the Great Resurrection era of the realm, which brought previous dead players back, thanks to Bergamot and their weird black magics. But this place right here, it was created by Lucas. It was run down after he died. It was scavenged for a lot of its resources. But then after Evergreen fell apart, a refugee came here, lived here for a while, and eventually he was killed too in an assassination plot I had a small hand in, but he's back now. It's no biggie. Water off a duck's back, so on and so forth. Anyways, the building, originally, this all used to be calcite up here. It was scavenged, picked apart, and replaced with diorite, but after Lucas came back for a little while, tried to replace it. So now we have a very mismatched roof up there, which I find very funny. This is the same rail you saw earlier. It goes from Cedarville Station over to the neighborhood station, over to several things we won't get to today. This is Savannah's house. It's been through many renovations. I'm not going to go too deep into house stuff today, considering it's no one's business. It can be like short content, I think, But there's very interesting stuff in all the houses around here. Over here is my manor, my Cedar Villain manor, to be exact. Coming past here, I will show one room in this house, and I don't want to breach my own privacy here, so let's do a hard cut in there. Does that sound good? I hope that cut wasn't too abrupt, but anyways, this is my map room. This does not house every map on the realm, but it has, I think, arguably the greatest concentration of maps on the realm until New Yamiria gets their map house. But anyways, to show things off, this is a much fuller map. It's not finished out here. This should be Little Imperium. It's not. This actually still has a farmer's market on it, oddly enough. The Federation of Nations building is still the Federation, as you can see the different nations' colors here. The Council building is unfinished, among various other weird oddities, but it is one of the most updated maps of the realm. Over here you can see another map to just compare. This is what it used to look like about 5 years ago. This is what it looks like a couple of months ago. A lot's changed, as you can see. We have Paradise Falls / Tiki Land, which is a story for another time. The Zoo, Early Museum, Cherry Hills, which used to be called Cherrytown, Old Evergreen, and my favorite thing that I want to focus mainly on, how did you pick that up? That, odd. I'm going to pick that up. This is Cedarvilla in July of 2022, as you can see right here. About every 2 years, I make an updated version of this map. You can see it. This should have been, January 2024, with the old train station, no Cedarvilla Bridge. Lots changed. And then most recently, of July of 2026, wow, I actually have not really taken in just how much this has changed. That is crazy. Anyways, Splomsterby, there's the Ender, a lot of stuff. This used to be my bedroom. I've expanded my house. As I said, one thing I want to show off that I think is one of the coolest things we have in the realm and might make the realm one of a kind. Zippy. There used to be a glitch where before two horses bred, you could feed them speed potions, and that would permanently alter and buff the offspring. And you could get horses that move faster than horses are vanilla-wise supposed to move. They patched it out, but they never actually they patched out the method to make horses faster, but they never stopped current horses from using their, well, already existing speed. But what I did find out, it applied to every animal, including. Well, yeah. Let's do a demonstration here. Wait, hold on. Zippy, come on, show him. There we go. Way faster than. Geez, Zippy. Way faster than dogs are supposed to move. In a short, I might have a comparison between them, but there is Zippy. He, I think, moves substantially faster than dogs are supposed to, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely is. Like you're bleeding out on my carpet. Anyways,
Oh god.
pretty interesting though, considering everyone thought it was mainly horses, and then I found out it was dogs. Very interesting though. You can still use previously existing animals, and because dog variants were added after that bug was patched, there are dog variants that move faster than they're supposed to years after the glitch was patched. So it's one of those things that if you don't already have it, your world can't. But that's the gist of the neighborhood. Not everything needs to be shown off in one video. Let's cut to the 12 a.m. Now, what is the 12 a.m., you might be asking? This building right here, it is the first tavern of the modern age. There might be taverns that are historically and lore-wise older, but as far as chronologically real life, this I think might be the oldest tavern on the realm. Maybe. We might have to look through records on that. But anyways,
No, I do think it is.
as you can see here, there's a Kyle Tech coming soon, 2024. No, 2025. No, 2026. It's going to be 2027, and it won't even be Kyle Tech when it gets released. Anyways, that's the broken sign right here. Oh my gosh, yeah, stools are going to look so good instead of this. To make bar stools, I had to raise the floor with slabs. We can just, man, I'm so excited for the new update. Anyways, here's a automated bartender who gives you pufferfish. There are multiple different things that are sold in bars on the realm. Honey in Shiver Peak, potions most places, and pufferfish here. Good idea, Sav. Let's get hungry
Yeah,
real
I'm
quick so we
kinda
can real quick demonstrate the
there
joys
we
of
go.
pufferfish on the realm. It is a hot commodity for the 3 people who care. I'll take 1 pufferfish, my kind sir. Let's go ahead. As you can see, the effects speak for themselves. You know, pretty good.
Yeah.
Now, while the camera is not shaking at all, let's go over here to a recent addition, a game board. In the lanes of Shiver Peak, specifically their new capital city, New Yamiria, patrons of the Iron Chalice Tavern constructed a new type of experience in Minecraft. Somehow, never thought of before, at least I've never seen this done before, we can use containers as game boards and blocks, name blocks specifically, as pieces. I'm not going to get into how this game works, but I will say it is somewhere between checkers and chess in difficulty and complexity. That being said, it is a very intense game that I am somehow bad at, despite it being my characters that created it. Where do you, shopping district? I think that's a good place to go from here.
Yeah.
We were just brutalized by a zombie horde that entered town from the north, but we fought them off, lost a couple of locals, no biggie. Anyways, this is not the shopping district, but it's next to it, and I figured I should also show this off. This was actually my second house on the realm, and this was built just around the time the second player, Drew, joined, my cousin, and originally, it was my house, but I ended up moving out of it once she tried to move in. Then it was no one's house after she built her house. Eventually, we gutted the entire thing, refurnished it, and now it's a villager apartment building that she bought the deed to. So she owns it and the villagers inside because, for whatever reason, these villagers don't have the same rights as the ones outside of it. I don't know really the legality of that, but no one really debates that. Anyways, this is the bargain house. This was constructed right alongside of the Derby, and the way it works is you come over here, right here. Who will win the Cedarville Derby? I voted on Green Justice. Savannah voted on Kaboomerang with 13 diamonds, and Corinne voted on Histler with 30 diamonds. All that got pulled together, thrown on the books, and then whoever won that, Savannah, is supposed to come accept their earnings. She didn't want to for some reason, and due to that fact, I guess it just goes into the next derby. It's just
Oh,
into
yeah,
the
that's what I wanted to happen. I wanted it to go towards the next one.
Anyway, so whoever wins that is getting a huge payout. Moving on, though, over there is Mayor Big Ol' Sammy's house. Over here is the Fisherman Hut. We're not going to go that way. That way is kind of uninhabited. This is the Glutkin. I don't know. I think this has enough story that this can only really be explained in a short. There's we fear that thing basically. Here's Savannah's all right pet shop. Here is a shop for sale. The flower shop, the very ugly produce shop. Over here is Shiver Peak Valley honey shop, the coolest shop on the realm with the Shiver Peak flag, paraphernalia from Shiver Peak, and Shiver Peak Valley honey comes from the heart of the mountain, which is entirely factually true. I keep a good job keeping this thing stocked. Up here is a combination shop. It sells books, paper, feathers, I think, ink. It's basically for all the riders of the realm. Behind her is Kyle Tech, unfinished, and it won't even be called Kyle Tech when finished. It's gonna be like Rosthelm Enterprises. It's a character I have who's in charge of all my redstone for my country. Anyways, coming up here, and we are almost done with this section of the tour. This is a bank. Originally, there used to be Jacob's house. Then he ran for mayor, got rich, left his house, constructed his house up there. Then this place became a workshop, but then his little niece, actual niece, not like a character, actual niece moved in here. She's a child, completely tore up the house. She fled down the river and drowned in the canal. Canonically drowned, not real drowned. I know you freaked out about that. I'm kidding. Anyways, place got bulldozed. He was going to build a bank here because, of course, he was. And never built the bank. Then the previous mayor repossessed the plot, created the Red Eye Bank. Why is it called that? We still wonder that to this day. Yeah, that's all you can really say about the bank. That one's difficult for me to explain. Up here, though,
Ooh,
minus
we,
the work
should
site.
show the
We will show it, don't worry. Everyone likes to bully Jacob, as you can see here. Former Mayor Jacob's house. I'm literally so fat I have to tuck it, which is probably the greatest quote from the realm, I would say. Liberals not allowed. Honestly, his house is very nice. This is actually very nice flooring for a kitchen. I really love this. His pantry's in there. Here's his living room. One thing I want to mention is his real life dog. He named his Minecraft dog after it. And one time he frantically texted me and said, "My dog died," using its name. And I was like, "What? I'm so sorry." I was like, "No, in Minecraft, stupid." So every bit of bullying is completely deserved. Up here, though, he has a toilet. Bath, toilet, her. I don't really know what that means, but we're gonna go in here.
Would you say this is a good point to show off the sewers?
Yeah, we can transition into that in a minute. We're gonna toss those items down there. Over here is bedroom. Honestly, a couple people in the realm hate his house. I actually think it's one of the nicer houses on the realm, in my opinion. I don't know. I like the style of it. And to wrap up this leg of the tour, we have more fishermen due to the prolific use of barrels by someone's shop. But over here is my favorite shop, the Lurker's Grinder. The Woodland Lurker is a local cryptid of those woods, the Lurker's Woods. Yes, there actually is a cryptid in those woods. He's been missing for about a year, though. And one time he came out of the woods hauling a bunch of luggage, planted a Viking ship firmly in the ground, stuck chests inside of it, and you get a stack of anything in here for 1 diamond. And you can get some pretty good stuff in here. Like a stack of deep slate for 1 diamond's good, considering no one mines deep slate. It used to have other pricing, like I think it was 3 gold, 25 coal. But due to a council law, you can see the dome of the council right over there. Due to a council law, every council territory on the realm has to abide by a diamond standard. That way we all actually use the same currencies now. Skipping the public pool, we're going to skip the graveyard and we're going to skip the ranch. We're actually going to go flush ourselves in Jacob's toilet. As funny as that sounds. Savannah had a really good point. This would probably be a good point to transition into one of the things that I think is very interesting about Cedarvilla that we're not going to have time to get to today, because it would be a 5-hour tour if we showed everything off. Cedarvilla it lies above a system of tunnels, caves, labyrinths, and various other things we refer to as the Cedarvillan Catacombs. It spans several thousand blocks, goes between multiple things, and it's never been fully mapped out. If you think the Paris Catacombs is bad, you've never seen the Cedarvillan one. And there is, I think, an entrance point in the sewers, but we're just gonna hope we avoid that. Let's get flushed. Jacob died on the spot from being dumb, February 28th, 2025. Anyways, one thing I think that's very interesting at the realm is it has a working sewage system. And by working, I mean it is supposed to work, but we actually found a cloggage point previously, and it does need to be fixed. Savannah, don't get too close to it. You're going to end up picking it up like you did at the last attempt at
No, I know.
tour. As you can see, all the items we just flushed go down this way. Now, another interesting thing about our player base is we don't like to waste items, so we have a couple systems like this set up that it's more of a recycling plant than anything, but it's a lot funnier if you connect it with dumpsters and toilets. Garbage disposals would honestly be a very smart one to do. Savannah, you should not have done that. You just... There. That's the problem. They've changed it, and now items get stuck at this point. It didn't used to be like that. I genuinely have no idea why they did that, but we're just going to help the items along here. This is what's supposed to happen. We're going to send plumbers down here to fix this. It's the only point in the system that actually has that problem. Oh, one time someone flushed a bunch of copper golems down here. This is the aftermath. Oh, here's some more aftermath. A chicken. Did you put more chickens in here? I was actually trying to clean that up. The only chicken that's allowed to be in here is PS, because it's named for some reason. But anyways, as you can see, so many items get flushed down here of debatable quality. There's also a named bat that used to live in my basement, but because the catacombs are connected... Actually, no, I'm pretty sure it broke out because a single block corrupted, turned into air. He flew out of my basement a couple hundred blocks away, and somehow he ended up down here. But as you can see, there... yeah, well, as I was saying, some items are good, some items are that. But it is a working sewage system that connects to most houses and most buildings, and very interesting. This goes up to the neighborhood. That goes to Jacob's house. That is just water from the local lake. And this goes over to Little Imperium. So I don't think there's a very good way to transition from this point. Why don't you say we go to the council?
Yeah.
And here we come to the natural conclusion of the Cedarvillan tour. Although the catacombs are beneath us, the sewers weren't fully shown off. We didn't show off most of the buildings, most of the houses, most of really anything. It is simply too large of a tour for us to show off all in one video. So we're purely focusing on the city of Cedarvilla, which wraps up right here. These statues were actually very recent additions, and As you can see, there is dirt coming out of the statue. Originally, this was supposed to be a exuberant flex of wealth. Yep, there's emeralds right there. Someone picked up all the diamonds this thing was spitting out and threw dirt in, and I'm not fixing it. Over there is a frog statue that is commemorating a frog infestation Cedarvilla suffered 4 years ago that the locals ended up growing to love. And this is kind of in commemoration of the frogs who still are around, but they've spread out so far over the last couple of years that you never see them anymore. This dog is something I don't want to talk about because I'm petty, so we're going to move on.
We could just say, we have the frog and the dog statue for the drog.
Oh, that's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
Anyways, this is the council building. We're going to enter. As you can see, it's unfinished. One recent trend that has started since Shiver Peak has constructed its new capital is most modern buildings that want to be fancy are attempting to install a redstone lighting. But as you can see, part of the problem with no nether use on the realm is glowstone is very scarce now, so that is a problem we have to overcome. Anyways, this is the library. We have different sections here, including council documents, alliance related stuff. This building is meant to hold over for the next decade at least. So it is a very large library and it's only been used a couple of months. So, is what it is. Survey Master's Quarters, I call it the Survey Corps, has a very nice map of the realm. Now, this isn't the entire realm, not close to it. One rule that was actually established by the council is you cannot travel more than 10,000 blocks in any coordinate, because we do not want to have the realm go on forever. The file size is already too large for us to download it right now due to Microsoft's bug. I know there's a limit at 4 gigs or something. We're at 1.2. That is due to a nation of Centaurian loading in an entire continent to claim and have not really built much there yet, but it's crossed the 1.2 gig threshold, which isn't supposed to be an intentional threshold, but due to a glitch they have, it stalls out at that point, and I've emailed them multiple times. They said, we're working on it. I don't think they're working on it right now. They're probably on break being lazy or something, but due to that fact, we're trying to limit the problem from getting any worse, so you can't travel more than 10,000 blocks in any direction. It also stops you from going too far, because I think if we ever reached a point where it took a literal day to go hang out with any other player, what's the point of it being a realm, But up here, I'm going to use this spyglass to show off a little bit. This mountain range right here, and you can see all that gray right there, that is a city. That is New Yamiria of Shiver Peak. These are the Shiver Peak Mountains, and they're owned, as you could guess, by Shiver Peak. Beneath that, this little landmass is named Lee Side. Up here is Froglandia. They are the southern tip of the Centaurian continent, which would be about up here. It is operated by about 3 players. They go up to the literal world border at 10,000 blocks up here. And that's kind of how they got the name City at the End of the World. You come down here, though, this is the Silver Sea. There's going to be a much more in-depth explanation of the map. Show you where we are in relation to everything. Here's where we are right now. On the island of Cedarvilla, there's the Cedarvilla Lake. There's the train station. It's obviously very small. To the left of it, you get Golden Ridge. To the south, you get Block Street, which goes over into Sealand, which is this area, but mostly this island right now. There's a lot more we could show off, but those are, I'd say, arguably the most important for the tour. And the spawn ocean we've been referring to is this ocean right here that connects to Sealand. It connects up to Jacob's Island, the canal that leads you over to the Shiver Peak Sea, then to Lee Side, then to Centaurus River and Shiver Peak. As you can see, we have a very detailed realm. This section out here is not finished. This is a very unfinished building because it is calcite, and calcite is expensive. But if you come up here, we are going to get to, I think, one of the coolest areas on the entire realm. This is the council chambers. The council name, also known as Kotor. Nope, not how that's spelled. I hit the wrong thing. Council of the Realm. I also like it because it's the same acronym at least spoken, as Knights of the Old Republic. There's a book right there. I'm scared to pick that up. I'm not going to read that. Anyways, this dome has all of the flags of the Council nations except the ones that they've left. We have the Centaurian Empire, which is comprised of multiple nations, but it's one empire, so they come instead. She's AFK at her podium. Over here we have Rome. Again, that's ROAM, not ROME. Then we have the Imperium. We have Golden Ridge. We have Shiver Peak. Again, just mentioned them. This is different. This is kind of like the head of the council. They're not exactly I'm trying to think of a way to put it. The politics of the realm is very interesting. We try to keep Cedarvilla important considering it is what birthed the modern age of the realm and led to everything being restored. So they have a very important spot here. They're kind of like the speaker, I guess, of everything. They kind of rein everything back in, much to controversy. A lot of people would have preferred them to be a regular voter or even a tiebreaker, but it has been decided they are going to hold a little bit more power than every other nation here, considering it's Cedarvilla. We're in Cedarvilla. Here is what used to be Bergamot, but has migrated to Golden Ridge, and then here we go, we have Sealand. Now, as you can see, most of these have flags next to them, except theirs. I don't really know what their deal with the flag is currently. They actually migrated from the world's fourth world country, Bergamot, and moved their entire population in a very successful campaign, actually, over to Lee side. So we just kind of moved. We let them have the seat at the table, but there's a lot of paperwork that needs to be accomplished. But anyways, this is the council. This is where it was decided to have the 10,000 block world border, the diamond standard. We had a lot of stuff that was established here, but again, these are all stories for other videos, another time, all these things. We also have the peanut gallery right here, in case any spectators who aren't on the council want to watch a meeting. And out here, you get a very nice view of Cedarvilla, I think, including the dirt fountain, but I think the last thing we should probably do to finish up this tour is go to the top of the tower and get a nice look at everything.
Yeah, I would say so.
Oh my gosh, I almost accidentally ended recording. I hit the wrong button. We're still recording, thankfully. Now we pause. Well, that's basically the gist of it for the tour. Being on a realm, we don't have the largest render distance, but you can catch glimpses of things that are past render distance. As you saw, this realm goes on for thousands of blocks, have dozens of other nations, players. We just kind of took the opportunity to make this video, considering it's a fairly inactive period on the realm, considering everyone's a little busy right now. So we figured no better time to film the tour than right now. So we decided this is going to be the first video in what might become a series. But that basically wraps up the tour. We're currently on top of the Cedarvilla Tower. As you can see down there, we have the clock tower, we have the library we're at, the university, the airport with a slot for either Happy Gast and or Elytras. There's the council over there. You can even see Block Street in the distance and the Cedarvilla Tunnel. Over there we have the railroad, we have, well, basically everything. And yeah, that basically more or less wraps everything up. Over in the distance, you can see Golden Ridge. A couple thousand blocks north, you'll reach Shiver Peak. A couple thousand blocks that way, you'll reach the Megalith, and that's how you access the Imperium. And we even have an unwanted guest right here, Jericho, who is a previous mayor. But anyways, in case anyone does end up watching this, which I imagine at least 1,000 people eventually will see this thing. Maybe one or two will comment. I hope this has been enjoyable. This is my first time actually making a real YouTube video that's not just a Fortnite clip I uploaded. But anyways, hope everyone enjoyed this. And if there's any real demand to see more of the realm, just leave that in the comments, what people would like to see. We have museums, we have stories to tell, we have even war footage, because war does exist on the realm. This isn't a perfect, peaceful place. We have footage of wars, we have plagues that have happened, plagues that will unfortunately happen, and that's basically it. So I'm gonna get a thumbnail shot and wrap things up. Thanks everyone for watching. Say bye, Sev.
Bye.
No, I meant like say bye, like it's in good night.
Oh, good
Okay.
night.
I
What?
oh shit, it didn't end. I thought that would be a funny point to end. Darn it.